So traders, in today's video, I want to talk to you more about a bit more of a personal story about me personally, why I trade the way that I trade. Over the last 20 years of trading the markets, why do I only trade 30 minutes a day now? That's all I do is 30 minutes a day trading. And how I trade and how I approach the markets and how that's evolved over time for me. And I'm going to explain the reasons why I make so much more money now than I ever have in my entire trading career, including even when I used to trade sometimes up to 10 hours a day, some days that was, looking at the futures, the foreign exchange and stock market and so on and so forth. And the reason I'm doing this video for you, because hopefully I can gear you towards the right thinking and also set yourself up to have a good foundation, to have a bit more freedom in life so you can keep making progress towards that goal in life. So when I first started trading, I always had this thing that, oh man, if I was learning more about obviously trading, right? And then I had the title, I'm a day trader. I'm a day trader, meaning I'm looking to get in and get out today. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? You make a lot of money doing that. But what happens when you become a day trader? You've been learning some systems, strategies, education, you're going down the path. What ends up happening? You become a day trader. Now, what is the biggest problem with becoming a day trader? You now think what? You now think, okay, I'm sitting in front of the screen for 4, 5, 6 hours a day. And now guess what? Now you're saying, okay, if you do that and you don't take a trade, guess what? What am I doing here? I've been sitting here for hours watching the market unfold, watching the 1 minute charts and 2 minute charts and all these time frames. What am I doing here? Like, I'm here to make money, not just to sit here and watch, and the wife comes in, how'd you go today? Ain't that the worst, right? And then you come back the next day and the next day, right? Because guess what? Now you're trading, and now you're a day trader, right? So now you become impatient, don't you? And then on top of that, guess what? Now you're going down the path of, well, I want to make 6 figures this year. And for me to make 6 figures this year, I need to be taking trades this week because I need to be making $2,000 this week. I need to be making the weekly income from this thing called trading, which is a big mistake, but I need to be making a weekly income from this thing called trading. If I'm going to make my 6 figures this year, I need to be making $2,000 a week because at a job, I make $2,000 a week. That's $100,000 a year, right? So then you apply that mentality to the market. And now, guess what? Now you're sitting in front of the screen. You are looking for any trade that you think can make you money. And then now you're trying to generate a weekly income from trading. What ends up happening with that approach? One, you become tired, you become exhausted, you make a lot of mistakes, you get in at the wrong time, you put on too much risk, right? Or because one, you're a day trader. I'm a day trader and I'm here to make a weekly income, right? Because that's how you think. Okay, I'm here because that's how trading is done. And when you think making income from trading, you think, oh, I make an income which is every single week, right? That's what you think. And this is one of the biggest things that stops traders from actually doing it. It did stop me from so many years. Because I was doing that, right? I'm here to make an income. So what ended up happening for me is, fortunately or unfortunately, depending which way you want to look at it, I ended up getting cancer. And the cancer for me, and I'll show an actual image here right now. You can see the actual image. Obviously, this is an image of me when I had the cancer and when I didn't have the cancer. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up here is because I realized by me going down this path, as you can see from the photo, right? I was horrible, meaning health. I was literally trading myself into the graveyard. And because I was stressing so much and so on and so forth, I just didn't understand, right? So I had to really make a few changes. And one of those changes was I started getting coaching from a mentor and he showed me this here. He put things into perspective. So this is the little PowerPoint thingamajiggy that I've got here. And what my mentor said to me, he said, John, do you know you're only 7 good trades away from 6 figures? He said one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trading the markets is that they They're trying to trade a lot. They think, okay, I've only got a $5,000 trading account, okay, and I need to trade 100 times this year to make 200, 300, 400 times this year to make six figures, right? They go down this path. And the reason why they're thinking that, because they're thinking, oh, if I take $1,000 trade, if I put $1,000 in the market today, I'm probably only going to make maybe $100 from this thing, or $200, right? 10, 20% return. Because that's the way you trade, right? Small profit, small profit. That's what day trading generally is. It's small profits and big losses. So what my mentor said, John, you're only 7 trades away that do a double, 100% return, right? Now, if you do start to look at things like futures and options, which I do, you could start to utilize this in a much more, okay, I'm only 7 trades away. And the reason why this was so important for me, and the reason why this completely changed the way that I looked at the markets, was because I stopped thinking that I had to trade all the time. And I was now okay not taking a trade for a week or 2 weeks. Last year there was a period of 6 weeks with no trades. Now, most people who are brand new to the market, they'll be thinking 6 weeks with no trades, John, screw that, I need more activity. Now, why do you need more activity? Because you think more activity, more trades equals more income? You know that's a myth, right? That's one of the biggest myths that stopped me from so long from actually moving forward. More trades equals what? More stress, less sleep, heart attack. How do I know? I put myself through cancer. That's how I know. And guess what ends up happening? Now you're taking more trades, you're making more mistakes, you're making small profits, big losses, you're all over the place, you're emotional, you're fighting with your wife, and everything else is out of control. You're not going to the gym, you're not taking care of yourself physically and mentally by meditating, stretching, yoga, gym, stuff like that, right? Get away from the markets. And now it's a massive downhill from there. And guess what ends up happening to most traders? You are going backwards. This guy for so many years. So then I said, okay, cool. Then my mentor said, okay, now we understand, right? I want you to be thinking that all you're looking for is 7 good trades. Now, what's the realistic approach about this? The realistic approach is that not every trade's got to be a double, right? And you're going to have it might be 20%, 30%, 50%. And yes, you're going to have your losses in there, right? But what if I said you're only 15 high quality trades away to 6 figures, even if you're starting with a $5,000 trading account? Now, when I say $5,000 trading account and a $1,000 trade, you're not risking that $1,000. If I put $1,000 in the markets, I'm only risking $200 to $300 of that. So a $5,000 trading account, I'm only risking $200 to $300 on average for the good quality trades, right? $200 to $300 to what? To then make the double. See what I'm saying here, right? And see how this is all building up. So I'm not risking $1,000. So when I'm putting on $1,000 trade, call it options or leverage or whatever, and I'm trying to make 100% return, right? Which is a double. And that's what happened. Now I understood that. Now I was okay with not taking a trade every single week, right? And then what happened was then I started looking at, okay, what are the best setups that's likely to do that? And that's when I go through my trading system and all that sort of stuff, right? And again, this is what I teach my actual coaching clients. I'm teaching them not only strategies and systems and approaches and coaching them about trade management techniques, risk management, but I'm getting them to think properly with these markets. So if there's no trades for a week or there's no trades for a few weeks, it's okay. Because we only need 7 good trades this year, not 70 for you to make good income. Again, realistically, it's probably 10 to 15, somewhere around about there. Then now we go through it. Once I understood this, I said, right, instead of me trying to look for all these small little moves, what I'm going to do, instead of going to the futures market, I'm going to go to the stock market, right? And this is obviously the stock market here. So this is obviously the stock market, and I'm going to look for stock market, and obviously now I know the system, I know the setup, and this is where the education comes in, right? It's a black and white thing about 7 good trades is here, right? And then, but how you do this is where your education comes from. What are the best setups that's likely to do the double, that's likely to make the move? How do you apply the options? How do you trade the options, right? That's where the education, it's got to be, you need the education behind you, right? To try to bring that together. The system, the strategy, the entry, the trade management, the cutting losses short, all that sort of stuff. But then understanding the right thoughts, that's how you become pretty powerful in the marketplace. What completely changed me, right? And so then what ended up happening was now I trade the stock market. Why do I trade the stock market? Because I have stock market and I also have things, what's called scans. And if I bring this up through to here, right? I have scans here that do a lot of the heavy lifting for me, right? So for example, I've got this here scanning the top 1,000 stocks, and I can see that these scans today anyway, instead of me going through 1,000 stocks on this here, all I had to look through was 17 stocks to see which one met the criteria. This scan here only brought up 2. This scan only brought up 3, because they were the potentials today. So this is the reason why I went from trading all that time to now I'm trading now only 30 minutes per day. And how I trade is I trade the last 30 minutes of the markets. Now, when I say trade is, remember, I'm looking for a double, right? So I'm looking to get in today and hold the position for a couple of days to a week. And sometimes I'm holding them for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, looking for obviously that double. Now, when I say a double, again, 100% return, is that possible? Yes, it is. Not all the time, right? But again, we're trying to look for those patterns that's likely to make the move over the course of a week or two. That's likely to do the double. So all my trading is done in 30 minutes per day, which simply means the last 30 minutes of the US market, I'm doing the scans to see which stocks are meeting my plan, right? And I have also another scan here as well too that I go through as well. That's a bit more like a generic scan. And then when I find a trade that meets my trading plan, I'll get in today and then I'll come back tomorrow at the end of the day, see what happens, and then manage the trade. Again, I'm not looking to get in and get out one day. I'm looking to hold it for a week or 2 or 3 weeks and not pick up a double, but pick up 150, 170, to some, and every now and then you might get a good trade that does you 3, 4, 500% return by letting the profits run, cutting the losses short. So now what I do is I know, the template of what I'm talking about here is what I talked about before. And also I knew that if I wanted to get to $1 million, I'm only 10 really good trades. Even if I was starting from ground zero today with a $5,000 trading account, I know that to get to $1 million trading account, now it might take me a good few years or more to get that realistically, right, through time. But as a 5-year trading plan to get to $1 million, knowing that you're only 10 good trades away over the next 5 years to making $1 million, is that better than what most people's plan are, right? What's your plan out of a job? Your job is what? Your job is, okay, what's your 5-year plan with your job? Right? But again, how does this become reality? This is where you need the proper mentoring, proper coaching, proper guidance, all that sort of stuff, right? And again, if you want more guidance around this, then there's that link in the description. You can apply for my coaching, and I'll talk to you more about this. But I'm trying to share with you how I have noticed the people that do we're talking 7 figures or more in the market, how do they trade? And the first thing is, one, they don't trade a lot. And the second thing the biggest thing is that's actually changed me in my own personal trading is now, because I went through cancer, I no longer could sit in front of the screen for 10 hours. I had to come up with a different solution around all of this to actually then make a much, much, much better decision in the market. And then once I started to do that, and I started to then have the scans do all the heavy lifting for me, look for powerful quality setups in the markets that's likely to do a double. Again, likely, there's no guarantees, right? Likely to do a double in the markets. Then apply some leverage, like things like options in the markets, right? And again, you need to understand options. Don't just go trade options if you don't understand them, because you can lose a lot of money, right? Especially when you start to do things like riding the option, which is very, very risky. But again, just understand what you're doing first. Don't just go out there and start doing this. But I hope you can start to see, once you start to bring this all together of the right thinking, and then we have strategies, I have the scans, and then I'm utilizing things like options. That's the only reason why the last half an hour of the US market, I'm opening up my charts. I'm looking for new trades. I'm managing the trades I'm in. Do I get out today for a loss? Do I hold it because it's running for profits? And so on and so forth. And once I started to do that, I started to create, guess what? Now I have a foundation, and I started working. When I did that, now I was taking less trades but making more money in my trading. And then on the other side, I started having all this other freedom to take care of me, take care of my mind, right? Stretching, yoga, gym, meditation, right? All that sort of stuff. And then that's when everything started to rise for me. And I wanted to share this with you. Thanks to my cancer, I was forced to say I can no longer be staying up all night training the future, because that's what I was doing, right? Staying up all night. Everything had to change for me. And of course, that's, once again, guys, that's the reason why I have a coaching program, right? Because everything I'm talking to you about right now, that's what I put into the coaching program and share with you throughout the entire year. I coach you every single week. You get access to the systems and strategies. I give you access to the scans. I give you access to everything, right? And I try to condense everything I've done, everything that's led to me where I'm right now today in the last 20 years, and I condense that down so I can shortcut your process. So instead of you taking 20 years to figure this game out and not just get lucky every now and then, but have a true foundation, but how do you actually set your life up? And I wanted a trading style to fit my ideal lifestyle. Again, this only happened when I went through cancer, and I realized that I needed to start taking care of myself and not sit in front of the screens and be stressing all the time, fighting my wife and having no money. It was like I had to change. And it was my thinking I had to change. And thank God my mentor took me through some of the stuff that we're talking about today. And that's what started to change everything for me. So I hope this really helps you out there today, guys. I hope this, my whole goal is just to try to, if you are going down this process, if you've been, say, less than 5 years in these markets, you through what I call the discovery phase. And through that discovery phase, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you're just trying to learn a lot about a lot. And unfortunately, when you try to go to these markets where you're trying to make a regular income per week, right? And then you become a day trader by spending 3 or 4 or 5 hours per day in the markets. With that combination, you can see the reason why that's actually against you from actually doing really well. And the right thinking you need to be having for your entire year that gives you the best chances of not only doing 6 figures, but 7 and multiple 7 figures from there on.